Be gay or stay a virgin. No, that wasn't a pride slogan in ancient Greece. It was a serious social paradox built into Spartan life. For years, men slept, ate, trained, and fought with other men in barracks until 30. Then were told to be model husbands in the scraps of time between drills. If that sounds contradictory, good. Sparta thrived on contradictions. It promised glory and discipline while quietly taxing body, mind, and soul until little remained except steel nerves and a good shield arm. Your life begins with a job interview you never applied for. Elders inspect you like a colt. Strong legs, clear lungs, symmetry, you live. Any defect, and nature finishes what policy began. Your first bath isn't water but wine, supposedly to harden you, definitely to test you. Crying teaches nothing. Tenderness is a bad investment. From the start, the state is the parent that matters. At 7, childhood ends like a door slamming. You're sent to the Agoge, the state-run Spartan upbringing and military training system for boys from about 7 to adulthood, where the haircut is free, and so is humiliation. Your wardrobe is one thin cloak for all seasons. Your bed is reeds you pull from the riverbank. Food is not a right, it's a curriculum. You drill until your calves burn and your shoulders lock into a shield line. And in between, you learn music and poetry, because a phalanx wins by tempo as much as by iron. Speak briefly. Laconic isn't fashion, it's a safety protocol. Fewer words, fewer mistakes. Hunger becomes a coach. Portions are small, so you learn to acquire what's missing. Stealing isn't condemned, getting caught is. The lesson is simple and devastating. The appearance of success matters more than confession. The city prizes outcomes. Even punishments are theater: failed theft, public beating, public message. At 12, training hardens into ritualized cruelty. You sleep outdoors with that same red cloak, cut reeds for a bed, spark flint for fire. Cold is a tutor, pain is a drill sergeant. At the altar of Artemis Orthia, boys are flogged before an audience. They call it endurance. Tourists later called it entertainment. When the city says, "Don't cry," it means it. By your late teens, the Agoge turns into a shadow world with a real knife. The Krypteia, a covert phase for select youths, night patrols with minimal gear to stalk and terrorize helots, the enslaved population. Sends the sharpest boys out after dark with a dagger to keep order where laws can't be seen. On paper, it's stealth and survival. In practice, it hardens a generation to blood and fear and teaches that order is maintained after dark. This is not heroism. It's policy enforced with whispers and footprints. Somewhere in this, the state decides you should marry. The ceremony may be austere and touching, but the logistics are absurd. You don't live with your wife, you live with your unit. You eat with them, march with them, sleep near them. Intimacy happens in stolen hours or not at all. The joke writes itself, but the joke hides a cost. Marriages starve until 30, and even then the barracks still tug like a second home. With your shield or on it wasn't just battlefield bravado, it was domestic policy. Bring honor back or don't come back. By 20, you move like a gear in a machine. The Syssitia, the mess hall, is a second school where half the lesson is the menu. The broth is black, the bread spare, and jokes rationed thinner than porridge. Wine is watered down, drunkenness is punished with spectacle. Helots may be forced to drink to shame the idea of excess. If the body is a weapon, pleasure is rust. War gear is simple because simplicity survives rain. The dory, an 8-foot spear, makes your arm an argument at range. The aspis, your round shield, is armor and architecture. It props the wall that keeps you and your neighbor alive. Lose your helmet and you might die. Lose your shield and your line dies. The shield is sacred because it protects a unit, not a man. Spartan ethics are built from that geometry. Spartan women confuse outsiders. Strong, loud, and, by Greek standards, shockingly free. They train, own land, and run estates while husbands vanish into barracks and campaigns. They sing at ceremonies and sometimes sing at boys, mocking the weak as pressure. On the surface it looks like progress, underneath it's utility. The state needs healthy mothers and competent managers while citizens drill. A Spartan woman can be formidable and still harnessed to the same engine that eats tenderness for breakfast. At 30, you finally cross a line. You can live with your wife, run your household, and speak in the assembly. But the price hasn't been paid off, it's compounded. You're still on call, still at the mess, still training. Your land is worked by helots, and moral questions are smothered under order and necessity. Retirement is 60 if you get there. Sparta is a long contract for short pleasures. Then comes the day legend devoured, Thermopylae. You march to a mountain pass with 300 citizens and allies, a suicide mission wrapped in strategy. The point isn't to win but to hold, not to survive but to signal. Arrows darken the sky, someone says you'll fight in the shade. Spartan wit is dry because what else can you be when noon turns to night? The phalanx finally makes perfect sense. Shields overlap, knees bend, bodies push, and spearheads turn the pass into a grinder. It works until geography betrays you, until a traitor shows the Persians a goat path that flanks your perfect geometry. Then formation yields to meaning. The king tells you to eat a good breakfast, because dinner will be served in Hades. If you die, it will be in a line, the only place a Spartan feels at home. Here's the secret no poster prints. Most Spartan life was waiting to be inspected, trained, called, judged. Waiting is its own war. It turns small comforts into contraband, elevates discipline to a religion, and starves the part of you that wants to wander, laugh, or nap on purpose. Sparta didn't just eliminate weakness, it defined weakness as anything that didn't serve the wall. And yet, the system produced people who could face death and joke about the weather. It produced women who could run estates and be heard over armor. It produced a culture that terrified larger states simply by existing in stern silence. Admiration and horror share a barracks here. The world remembers the red cloak more than the black broth for a reason. So why did it suck to be a Spartan? Because the state took what's best in a citizen, courage, loyalty, resilience, and paid for it with what's best in a human, tenderness, privacy, surprise. Childhood was a gauntlet instead of a garden. Marriage was an errand between drills. Excellence was mandatory, compassion optional. The shield that saved your neighbor also boxed in your life. And why does the story still pull us? Because every comfortable century since wonders if comfort made us soft. Sparta whispers, softness is a choice, but so is cruelty. Don't envy the hardness, understand its cost. A society that makes men die bravely can make them live strangely. Be gay or stay a virgin was never about romance. It was about belonging and a system that bound men to men so tightly, family had to squeeze into the cracks. The thumbnail joke hides an obituary. Imagine the last night of a long Spartan life. You're nearly 60, scars like a map, hearing like a damaged drum. Memories in a neat line of drills, marches, and faces you'll never see again. You think of the wine bath you didn't taste, the black broth you did, the wife who waited, the boys you taught to keep their shields up. You hope your sons, or someone's sons, are ready, because nothing here ends, it only rotates. The machine keeps moving, the wall stays up. The arrows still darken the sky for somebody, somewhere. If the point of life is to mean something, a Spartan life did. If the point is to enjoy it, that was never the brief. So when a poster shows a perfect jawline under a bronze helmet, remember what lives just outside the frame. The reed bed, the thin cloak, the quiet wife, the hungry mess hall, the night patrol across fields where fear grows like wheat. Glory made the story famous. Everything else made it true.